I love this. Our next guest here, Jonathan Roll from Arizona State University. We talked to him during the break, and we promised him we'd find some level of connection between K-pop demon hunters and space.
His expertise.
So, Jonathan, here's my toss to you between these two. This is a conversation about how the U.S. is trying to maintain its lead in space as China's trying to overtake it. All of these countries and private businesses, some from Korea, where they probably listen to K-pop, need to know who their partners are in space. Is it the U.S., or do they go to China now for these projects? Did you like that, Jonathan? Did that work for you?
That was perfect. That was perfect. I might even add that so Korea has its own space agency now as of last May, I think it was. So with the worldwide popularity of K-pop stars, maybe they send one of their pop stars up before the next Katy Perry from the U.S. goes up or something.
Yes,
I love it. That's a fantastic transition. So you worked on this this incredible research, Commercial Space Federation. They brought you on board. You're with ASU News Space. Kind of talk to me real quick about what this research was and how you got involved in this.
Sure. And thanks for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
So Arizona State University, big university. We've kind of made it a point to try to be an interlocutor and a partner with the commercial space industry writ large in the United States as it's been growing for a while. The new space office where I work alongside Scott Smass and Dr. Jim Bell, who runs the cameras on the Mars rover, at least on the Mastcam. Our office, New Space, is specifically charged with integrating sort of academic R&D and faculty with the space industry. So that always puts us right in that nice sort of interface area, right? So a lot of times it's industry, sometimes it's strategic partners with Space Force, but there's a specific group called the Commercial Space Federation that we're a part of, and we're sort of the executive academic member. And so this is to answer your question. CSF, Commercial Space Federation, has been around for quite a while, and all the members of their organization are all the big companies that you would think of, the SpaceX, is the Blue Origins, right? Stations that do satellite constellations, do ground stations, et cetera. But the president, Dave Kavosa, wanted to do a report on China, seeing that there's all these stories constantly coming out now about China and their space enterprise, and going, we need to drill down because we couldn't find a snapshot anywhere that sort of encapsulated everything. Let's try to do a snapshot, and daring enough as it sounds, a snapshot in a compendium at the same time, and try to capture just in this moment in time what is happening in their space ecosystem. Now, granted, our report doesn't touch on the military aspect. There's folks with clearances that are very smart that do that for a living in the U.S. to track that down. So we said, let's look at the civil and let's look at the commercial side of China's space endeavor. And where are they at now? What's the track record?
So what did you guys find? Because I kind of the cliff notes, Steve was kind of explaining to me that you found that we're kind of falling behind a little bit, right, to China.
Well, let me qualify that.
Okay.
The U.S. is still ahead. The U.S. is still ahead.
Okay.
We have this long, illustrious history, right, in the space domain. The U.S. does. NASA is a household name almost everywhere in the world at this point. And then we live in this era where there's commercial players, large commercial players that have done phenomenal things in the space industry. And we're not the only ones that have been playing in the space, right? The Soviet Union and the Russians, right? The Russia is still doing space stuff. Europe has been involved, and a lot of other countries have gotten involved. But China has really made this pointed, accelerated effort, and especially in the last decade. And so while the U.S. is ahead, what we found is that China has shifted into another gear. So just to use a metaphor, if you're looking in that rearview mirror, for a while it didn't seem like anyone was on the horizon, and now there's a country on the horizon. It's coming up quicker than you think. So there's a lot of different perspectives on that, right? But please.
One of those things where we're talking about how they're getting better at stuff. We've been talking a lot. You just said, the team there at ASU, they control the Mastcam on the rover on Mars. They're trying to get these samples on Mars, which it's been collecting, trying to find signs of life. And now there's a whole project on trying to figure out how to get it back here. And it's going to take years and years to figure that out. At the same time, isn't China ahead of us on this, on bringing those samples back to Earth?
Well, they have specific milestones that they plan to hit, and for the Mars sample return specifically, they have a series of missions called the Tianwan missions. The first one was their Mars rover that they launched in 2020, which was exactly the year they said they were going to do it. No delays. It got there in early 2021. For those that were kind of keeping track of this subject matter, there was literally a race at that point in time. There was 3 countries sending things to Mars: UAE, China, and the U.S. And the U.S. and Mars put down a new rover on the Mars surface. That was in early 2021. So let's jump ahead to what they say their next milestone is. In 2028, they say they're going to launch their essentially their spacecraft to Mars that's going to then collect a sample on the Mars surface, and it's going to return in 2031. And so that's one of the key findings that we have in the report is kind of with the bigger picture. There's a lot of milestones that they've put out there, publicly available, and they've been hitting these milestones regularly, on time.
Which is hard.
Yeah.
That's hard to do in this sector.
Yeah.
Difficult. That's very difficult, yeah.
Jonathan,
please, go ahead. Yeah.
We have obviously like SpaceX now, and we just had a rocket launch last night, and that was awesome to see again. So is China doing this? Is it their government that is doing it, or do they also have commercial like we have now?
It's a great question. And so this is baked into sort of some of the findings. For a long time, pretty much everything in China, space-wise, was run from a government entity. Nominally, there would be a state-owned enterprise, an SOE, but that was completely government-controlled. But about 15 years ago, they saw innovation that was increasing space capacity in the West. And they thought, well, we need to start tinkering with our own system. So they took that big government-owned agency and they split it in two, thinking they would cause competition. They would create internal competition. That didn't galvanize the industry there like they wanted. So in 2014, they come out with this, one of the regulatory entities in China comes out with this, colloquially they call it Document 60. And it encourages private investment into Chinese space companies, and it allows folks to privately own space companies, to seek profit, to try to compete in the marketplace. And that was sort of a first. Now, we probably don't have time to get into the details of what it really means to be a commercial company in China. There's still a bit of an asterisk.
We've got about 30 seconds left, Jonathan.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So in 2014, they open up the aperture, and all these young 20-year-olds and entrepreneurs jump in at the chance to be China's SpaceX and Elon Musk. And ever since then, the last decade, it has been on a trajectory. The investment's been climbing fast. There's hundreds of space companies now. There's 6 really successful ones, and they're trying to match us in everything we're doing.
Wow.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Jonathan Roll with ASU New Space. Appreciate you joining us talking about this. It's important because as everything goes forward, space is going to matter more and more, and whatever company's in charge, countries in charge of it all.
It is. Hey, guys, thank you so much for watching Fox 10 Talks.